All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to talk about a single court case from way back in the 1890s that literally built the world of business as we know it. From your local coffee shop to the biggest companies on the planet. This is the story of Salomon versus Salomon. But before we time travel back to the 1890s, let me ask you something. A question that's probably pretty terrifying for any entrepreneur. If you start a business and it completely fails, owing a ton of money, can the people you owe take your home? What about your car? All your personal savings? Well, for most business owners today, the answer is a relieving no. But trust me, it wasn't always that simple. You see, that protection we have now, it all comes from this huge shift in how we think about business. A shift that solved what used to be the single greatest risk for anyone daring enough to start their own thing. And this slide, right here, shows you just how massive that change was. The old way was simple and brutal. You are the business. If the business had debts, then you had debts, and all your personal stuff was on the line. But the new way? It introduced this wild idea that a company is a completely separate thing from its owner. And the guy we have to thank for cementing this idea, well, he had to go through a whole world of trouble to make it happen. So let's meet him. Let's talk about the person behind this whole principle. At the center of this legal earthquake was a man named Salomon. So picture this. It's the 1890s in England. Salomon is doing really well for himself. He's got a successful leather business, making boots and shoes. He'd built it up over years. But now he wanted to bring his sons into the fold and, set things up for the future. So he decided to try something that was pretty new at the time. He took a step that was, for his time, absolutely revolutionary. Even though today it's just standard business 101. He incorporated his business. And this wasn't just paperwork. It was about creating a brand new legal person in the eyes of the law. So here's what he did. Salomon, the guy, sold his whole successful business to A. Salomon & Co. Ltd., the company. Now, he owned pretty much all the shares, and he gave a few to his family members just to tick the legal boxes. But this is the key part. In the eyes of the law, he and his company were now two completely different things. And what he did hinges on this really powerful legal idea, the separate legal entity. What does that mean? Well, it basically means the law looks at a company as if it were its own person. It has its own rights, its own responsibilities, and it's totally separate from the people who actually own it. And this new person wasn't just for show, it had a real power. The company itself, not Mr. Salomon, could own the factory and all the equipment. It could go out and borrow money and rack up its own debts. It could even sue people or get sued, all without touching Mr. Salomon's personal bank account. But this whole theory, it was about to get tested in a big way. But you know how these stories go. Things took a turn. The leather market tanked, his business started to struggle, and suddenly this whole newfangled idea of a separate company was about to face the ultimate test. So the company, A. Salomon & Co. Ltd., just runs out of cash. It can't pay its bills. And the people it owes money to, the creditors, they are not happy. They look at this whole thing and basically say, hold on a second. This company is a joke. It's just Salomon hiding behind a name. He owes us the money. So they sued him personally for all the company's debts. And you know what? At first, the courts totally sided with the creditors. Salomon's journey through the legal system was just brutal. The first court ruled against him. He appeals. The next court, nope, they ruled against him too, saying his company was just a front. It seriously looked like he was going to lose everything. But he had one last shot. A final, desperate appeal to the highest court in the UK, the House of Lords. And this is where everything changed. This final appeal is where legal history was made. Because the House of Lords, they saw the whole thing completely differently. Lord MacNaughton, one of the judges, laid it out in these incredibly powerful words. He said the law is crystal clear. Once a company is legally created, it is a different person altogether from the subscribers to the memorandum. Or in plain English, it's a different person from its owners. It didn't matter that one guy owned almost all the shares. The separation was real. They are not one and the same, period. They are two separate legal persons. That was it. That was the single game-changing principle they laid down. One man, one company. Two separate beings in the eyes of the law. So, what did this mean for Mr. Salomon? A total victory. He was not on the hook for the company's debts. His house, his savings, all of it was safe. The debt belonged to the company, and the company alone. Okay, so why are we digging up a 125-year-old fight about a shoe business? Because the ripple effects from that one decision, well, they're the foundation of pretty much all of modern capitalism. It shaped the entire business world we live in today. The world that Salomon's case built is all about this crystal clear separation. You've got the company on one side, it's its own legal person, it owns the assets, and it's responsible for its own debts. And then you have the shareholder on the other side. They're a separate person too. All they own are shares in the company, and this is the big one, they are not liable for the company's debts. And this brings us right to one of the most important ideas in all of business: limited liability. It's simple, really. It just means the absolute most a shareholder can lose is the money they paid for their shares. That's it. This protection is huge. It's what gives people the confidence to invest and take risks, which fuels the innovation and economic growth we see all around us. Without this case, being an entrepreneur would be a terrifying gamble. So, the Salomon case created this incredibly powerful shield, a wall between an owner and their company, designed to protect them. But it leaves us with a really important question, one we're still grappling with today. Can that shield ever be misused? Can it be used to dodge responsibility or hide from consequences? And that, right there, is a debate that is still raging in courtrooms all over the world.